Hello, everyone. Wait, testing one, two. Okay, before we start, I'm gonna do my prayer and then we shall begin. Dear God, thank you for gathering us all here today at this time. May you bless us and give us your grace that we may be able to truly experience your peace and happiness at this moment. May everything be within your absolute plan, that everything goes accordingly to how you plan it and how you want it. May we truly be within that and really experience that true peace. Lord, may you be able to bless everyone who comes into stream today, whether if it's for a short while or for the whole entire thing. May you truly be able to bless the people who watch for the VODs. And anyone who is willing to learn about the 50 states, may you truly help them through whatever it is, whether it's for the entertainment or for actual studying. And thank you and love you. In the name of Jesus Christ, I pray. Amen. I must apologize that I do not blink with this avatar. This is why I was late. I was supposed to start at on the dot at 3, but now past almost 30 minutes. Because I was drawing this character because I wanted to look like a professor. So today, please call me Udon Sensei. 자, 오늘은 선생님이니까 오늘은 우돈 선생님입니다.今日は 先生になります。それ合ってるかなわからないけど、今日は、アメリカのステイツを勉強したいと思います。You're gonna learn the 50 states. So I did do something like this last week. And then I said I was going to do the week after see where how much I learned or have I learned, and then do next month a actual test. But today I decided that instead of testing of how much I actually remember from last week, which I don't think there's not much of a change in terms of how much I've memorized. So today I'm just gonna make it so that we can study together the 50 states. I'm going to give a better explanation of tips and stuff like that on how you can memorize all of the states together. I think last time was kind of a rush, and as you can see on the screen, it's kind of a mess. Um, Give me 1 second. Which one is what? What is this one? What? Where is it? One? Okay. I'm gonna turn off the source menu for now. Hello, hello. How you doing? I'm doing good. How are you doing? I also feel like you're here again for the States whenever I do the States stream. Although I only did it once before. It seems you're here again. Yeah, it's weird. Maybe I guess it just also happens that I did it on Wednesday, you know? Did you Oh, it crashed, yeah. Anyways, yeah, I had a few states mixed up as well when I tried to write them down. I did not know a lot. I only knew, like, 13. I'm gonna rewrite everything. Um, what pen did I use last time? Oh, oh, this one? I'm gonna try to write these as quick as I can, and then I'll actually start. Sometimes I wish I could write faster. Did I even spell this right? Louisiana. Louis. Oh my god, your model is so cute. Also, hello, hello. Hi, Jinx. Welcome. Thank you. Um, I was a little late to stream because I was making this last minute. Um, because we're gonna learn the states today. I'm gonna teach some tricks and stuff to um memorize these. But I wanted to be dressed as a sensei, you know, or like a teacher. So I made the model. Louisiana. Yeah, I think I spelled it wrong last time. Louisiana. LOL, love that. Yeah. Today I am udon sensei. Now, why didn't I just think of what size is this? Oh, it's not that small as I thought it would be. I'm gonna make this canvas a little bigger. Maybe higher resolution. Oh. Oh god. Wait, that changed the I didn't mean to change the size of whoa. Then I gotta rewrite everything. Okay, whatever. Last time I got New Hampshire mixed up. I thought New Hampshire was where Vermont is, but no. Pennsylvania. I wanna. I don't know states. I'm too pretty for that. I don't memorize states. I only memorized them when I had to take the states tests. And Slovene. Rewrite this. Michigan. Rewrite this. Let me turn off the picture. Okay. So if by any chance anyone who watches this, I'm also talking to the people who watch the video or the VOD, and you'd like to remember all the states that there are, I would recommend the song 50 Nifty United States. Or I think it's just called 50 Nifty. But if you listen to that, that song sticks with you, even if you forget some of the states in the song. But I would say that's the easiest way if learning in song is easier for you. But you'll remember all the states that there are through that song. But in the case that you do not know the locations and want to study the locations, then this is how I'm going to try to memorize it when I have to do my mini test next month for stream to see if I actually stick to my study methods and actually memorize where all the 50 states are. Okay, let's get started. I feel like there's a divide. Let me choose a different. That's two. This? Okay. I would divide it like this. Be right back. I gotta do something. Okay, no problem. I would divide these states like this. Because the left-hand side is more loose and the states are kind of bigger. But on the right side, the righter they go, the smaller they are and the more next to and bunched up they are together. So if you want to remember more of the bigger states that have more space in between them, I would stick with filling out these first. We can always start with the obvious. I think the obvious is pretty easy to get going and think of. For instance, one of the states that you'll probably memorize first is Texas. Think of Texas as the middle point down. And also, the shape of Texas is actually pretty easy to help you to memorize where your location is. Oh, so, this is very easy to remember where Texas is. So, none of the colors I'm using is for like political or anything like that either. I don't know. I just thought that I should clear that up for some reason. Um, the next one is California. And California is pretty easy to memorize. I think there's no one who doesn't know where California is because of all the popularity based stuff is based in California. And that is pretty easy to memorize because California is the leftmost state on the map. On the left side, I always say fill in the states that are easiest first, right? Like I said, you can divide it in half because, of the sizes and whatnot and how many are near each other. But always, filling out what you know, like the easier ones, then I think that's pretty easy to follow through of what states you can get down already. Most likely wherever you are taking the test or, if you're studying for this, then you'd probably know what state that you live in and where that location is. So you add that in also to the knowledgeable states that you know the locations of. But I would say the three most easiest ones location wise is California to the left, Texas, the middle down below, and Florida, which is the one that looks like it's hanging off. That will help a lot. And then the two that you'll probably just memorize pretty quickly because they're going to be always put like this. They'll be the separate ones. The separate ones are pretty easy to learn. So, this Hawaii, I think, or Hawaii is pretty easy to memorize because of it's basically the islands. That would be easier to memorize. And then just remember the other one as Alaska. So these two separate ones that are going to be put on your paper, just remember this is Alaska and this is Hawaii. And then you fill in whatever state that you're in. Okay, I'm going to start uh, dividing some of these here. Start with this section here. And this will be something pretty easy to memorize because you can just think of these states because there's like a box. They meet in four corners. So if you memorize one location of them, you can learn the rest of the locations for the rest. Um, the one that I would memorize first in terms of location would be Utah. In fact, think of Nevada is next to Utah. In some relations, you can even think that the one right next to California is Nevada. An easier also way, if you like learning by shapes, just think of Nevada as half half rectangle that then points down. As this unique shape of like a slant point near the end of it. And then just think of Utah is right next to it. And the way that you should memorize, or you could memorize these together, is you know that Utah is here. Think of U. Then what you can also think of is the first letters, right? Of Colorado, Arizona. Whatever way or method you think is easiest to memorize, then do that for that. But I would suggest that if you start with Nevada, there next to it is Utah. And what's down over here in this corner, in the right of the four squares, the right one, the one that shares next to Texas, New Mexico. How can you memorize that, right? Well, one, if you can memorize right away that, in the four squares, the right one is New Mexico. Or, hey, New Mexico is right next to Texas. If you also wanted to think about it, down below us is Mexico. So you can just think this one right here, where it meets Texas. And over here, you think of, it's New Mexico. Colorado and Arizona might be a little bit difficult because there's no other connections besides the fact that you have to memorize those names. So you can think CA, this diagonally, CA, because you can also think of maybe because California is right here, right next to California, is CA, abbreviation CA. Think of CA, CA, CA. The A starts here for Arizona, and the C is over here for Colorado. And I would also section these as its own branch of things you can memorize. Also probably cut that in half. And then I would also have these three their own section. So then you are left with these two here. Easiest way to memorize this, you just say Tip Toppy is Washington. People get confused that there's Washington as the state and then there's Washington, D.C. Also, people tend to get confused of what the capital of the United States is. That's Washington, D.C. D.C. After all, that is where the White House is. So you just memorize as the tip toppy is Washington. If somehow you do not remember what Oregon is, and they give you a list, if they give you a list of how many, like what the states' names are, then, you just fill in the rest and study method differently. I don't know if that makes any sense. But if you have to just remember what the states are as well, like their names and the spelling of it, then you need to put a little bit more effort into memorizing this. But I could say that Oregon is probably one of the ones you can push later after filling out the rest of the states. Um, but yes, Oregon shares right next to Washington. So the only way I would remember this is that below Washington is Oregon. There's no other way I would be able to memorize other than the fact that below Washington is Oregon, above California is Oregon. Now, if you go to these three states here, you'll be left with some odd shapes here. Wyoming, you probably can memorize because that is almost like a complete rectangle with straight edges everywhere. So you can probably just memorize that shape. Think of this as the shape. Think of Wyoming as the shape. This is where Wyoming is. This rectangle shaped one is Wyoming. Then you can also honestly memorize the shape of Idaho. Pretty unique in the shape that it is. Also just memorize the eye because you can make this state look like an eye. Just think that the shape of the state is unique, and if you're wondering what state belongs to it, think of that unique shape as the eye. And then just think of above both of those that connect with that is Montana. Associate Montana with Idaho and Wyoming. So memorize Idaho and Wyoming and then remember Montana as an association to those other state names. North Dakota and South Dakota. Just remember their top one. Fairly easy rectangle shapes as well. We say this one is north and this one is south. Now there is other states that have north and south in it. The way you can memorize this is Dakota. Keep thinking Dakota. Dakota. North, South Dakota is on this side of the map. On the left-hand side of the map, Dakota is there. That's how you memorize it. To the left of North and South, that one belongs to Dakota. North, of course, is on top because that is top. Compass-wise, I think the way that they named it is because it's north, and below it would be south. North south. Then you have these three. Associate these three together. Say by either the first letter of the state name, NKO. You can memorize that as the abbreviation. N, K, and O. I would also memorize Oklahoma by the shape. It has a little bit of an extension right here, and it kind of looks like a pot or a pan. And the way that you can memorize that is that that's also just directly above Texas, Oklahoma. And the rest you would just memorize NKO. I think the easiest way to memorize these states would be abbreviation. Oklahoma, there's more steps you can take to memorize those. Once again, it is above Texas. It is shaped with a extended handle right here of a pot. That is Oklahoma. Also, I gotta apologize for these colors. These colors are just not doing it for me. But maybe these weird color choices are gonna help you memorize them. I don't know. If it doesn't, sorry. um, but I mean, I'm giving you other advice to study these better and be able to memorize and think of these things better. Next ones, then we actually start going to the right side. Divide this whole entire line right here. These right here. I'd split this. I would also memorize these three by the first three letters. MAL. Just like the previous abbreviations of NKO, the bottom one is the easiest to memorize. Louisiana. Louisiana is easier to memorize not only because of the shape of the state, but also because it is literally shaped as an L. So you can memorize Louisiana L. Louisiana L. The L-shaped one, the down one next to Texas is Louisiana. And once you remember the above ones of it, you memorize the abbreviations MAL. 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 So then you remember above. According to the order, Missouri, Arkansas. Maybe also memorize. I'm not going to go over how to memorize the spelling of the states, but if you already have like a way of the way that you've memorized the spelling of the states, you can also think of Miss. 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 MAL. Miss Missouri. That is where this one is. And then you can memorize A, Arkansas, which is right below it. And honestly, I would even say that these two up here can be better memorized by these four together. But also section off this little line, of states here. I think Illinois is pretty easy to memorize too, just based on the shape. Um, Pretty neato shape. I mean, also, it'd be really nice for you to memorize the fact that this odd shape here is Lake Michigan. That will actually help you quite a bit in terms of memorizing certain things as well. Memorize this lake right here, Lake Michigan. Which is actually pretty easy to memorize where Michigan is because Lake Michigan. The right-hand side to the right of Lake Michigan is literally Michigan. So you can memorize that way. But if you memorize where Illinois is like that one big nugget between the connection of everything else. And then literally just remember that above Illinois is Wisconsin. If you associate above Illinois is Wisconsin, then it's kind of good to memorize pretty quickly. And then you can also memorize the fact that there's 3 eyes. There's an I here, I here, I here. Illinois, Iowa, Indiana. If you need to memorize it that way, you can memorize it that way. You can also just memorize that next to Wisconsin is Minnesota. I would associate the fact that Minnesota is up. Minnesota is up state. So I would think Minnesota. And then you can memorize that connection with Iowa. You can also help memorize the fact that Iowa, Illinois, Indiana. I, right? You can memorize it that way. I also personally just memorize these three together. Indiana, Ohio. Indiana, Ohio. Indiana, Ohio. Illinois, Indiana, Ohio. IIO. Yeah. Indiana, Ohio. I don't know why I have it memorized that way, but I do. I just think Indiana, Ohio, right next to each other, right next to the right hand side of Illinois. Um, and then these three down here. I would also memorize this by abbreviation. MAG. Also, MAG. You can also help this with the fact that the other abbreviation right next to it is MAL. Mal and mag, mal and mag. To the left is mal, to the right is mag. So these three, I literally memorized these as like their besties. MAG, MAG, MANG. Mississippi. If you all do that spelling thing, MISSISSIPPI. Mississippi. Think M to mag is Mississippi. A is Alabama. If you have the song 50 Nifty in your head already, then you know the first one is Alabama. Alabama. Alabama starts the song. Alabama. So remember Alabama. And then right next to Alabama is Georgia. Mississippi, Alabama, and Georgia. These little ones, these nick ones, the way that you memorize this is north and south. Now, because you have already filled out North Dakota, the only plausible thinking that you can do when you fill this out is North and South Carolina. Remember that. I like to memorize Tennessee because of the shape. It has a very unique shape. It is the skinniest rectangle that has a slant and a point to the right. That will be easy to memorize. That is where Tennessee is. Right above that, Kentucky. These two like go hand in hand. Just think of it hand in hand. Of the shape, right above Tennessee is Kentucky. Connect these two to your thinking. West Virginia. Either memorize where West Virginia is first or where Virginia is first, but know that West Virginia and Virginia are together. You can also memorize West Virginia by the shape it is. This the very unique little shape here. You can also memorize this as for some reason it has West in it, so West Virginia is here. And then of course below it, right next to it, or vice versa, Virginia is this shape right here. It shares the slant with Kentucky. So Virginia's right there. I would say one of the easiest ones you can fill out is where New York is. Very kind of odd shape to it as well, but this is where New York is. Whenever I handle or think about New York, I think about New Jersey as well. Not only because they have new in their name, but I just put that correlation between New York and New Jersey together. So just remember where New York is, and then remember that below it, the thing that hangs off a little bit is New Jersey. That you can memorize pretty quickly. Um, Washington, D.C. in Maryland. You need to remember and correlate the fact that Maryland and Washington, D.C. are near the same areas, right? So just keep in your mind Maryland and Washington, D.C. is the same region, a little bit the same place, right in this little small section here, right in the neck of West Virginia and Virginia. This little part. That's where Maryland and Washington, D.C., the capital. Think of Washington, D.C. and Maryland together. And you can think of the one right next to it, the one that hangs out a little bit over here. That is Delaware. You can correlate Delaware and Maryland together. So when you think of Maryland, think of Delaware and think of Washington, D.C. Then, of course, you're left with this one, Pennsylvania. But also the shape of Pennsylvania. Pretty easy to memorize because it's the most rectangle shape from the other shapes that are less um straightforward in terms of shape. Think of Pennsylvania. That's where Pennsylvania is. Think of the shape. Over here, Rhode Island is the smaller part, the smallest one over here. Right next to it is Connecticut. That is how you're going to memorize these two. Think of these as their little friends. Rhode Island literally has island in its name. Think of road. It's pretty unique spelling, a name. Think of road as the smaller one. Think of Connecticut. It connects. It connects with Rhode Island, Connecticut. Massachusetts is right above it. It has, think of the little tiny shape as well. Comes out a little bit right there. Massachusetts. Now you have the buddies that share their space together. You have Vermont. And you have New Hampshire. They share a slant and they make one rectangle type shape. But think of it like in the rectangle, there's a slant. So in the further left, the left side is Vermont. Vermont. You can also think of the right hand side, New Hampshire. It's long. New, there's new in it, and then New Hampshire. Memorize it from the name, and then the location. Right next to Vermont, slant. Then pretty easy, just memorize the fact that Maine is the tip-toppy right. On the right-hand side, the one that leans out, that is Maine. Just remember Maine is the tip-toppy left. Right, sorry. It is the tip-toppy right by itself. That is Maine. And with that, that is how you're going to memorize it. 안녕하세요. The ones that you can fill out the fastest, right? Once again, it's going to be these two here, these outliers, right? That aren't really connected to anything on the map. It's out. Then you're going to memorize where California is. The easier ones to memorize and put down: California, Texas, Florida. And you can also put Maine in there as well, because that will help you put down center points or points to fill in furthering of what sections that you're going to do. You can also consider or think of Washington as well. So you can fill out top left, top right, California, bottom Texas, bottom right Florida. You can fill those out first. The main ones, Alaska and Hawaii, filling out all those first, and then go into the other techniques that I've taught you in other groupings and by itself. You can go into those and start filling those out with what you've memorized. But other than that, I think I've fully gone over and disclosed like where each thing is and how to memorize all of them. I've gone over every state that you need to look at and think about and remember how to remember. So if you just organize those to yourself as well, with the tips and tricks that I've said, then I think it'll be really helpful to remembering where all the states are and the locations of where they are. And so hopefully if you're watching this just for curiosity, or if you're watching this to actually study for a state's test, then I hope this helped. Um, I think everybody has their own ways of memorizing things, but this is just kind of how I would memorize them and section them off. And honestly, that's all the time I have right now. So that is where we're going to end. But this is my way of studying the states. I will be testing this next month for myself. If anybody also wants to join in to do that, then feel free to do that. But I hope this really helps. 오늘은 그림이 아니에요. 아니네요. 네, 오늘은 그 미국에 있는 스테이트를 공부할 수 있는 방법을 조금 얘기했습니다. 근데 이제 다 끝나서 이쯤에 끝나려고요. 오늘은 조금 짧은 시간이지만 그렇군요. 네. 근데 좋은 뉴스는 내일은 그림이거든요. 근데 내일도 조금 더 일찍 갈 수 있을 것 같아서 그게 좋은 파트. 내일은 조금 더 열심하게 더 방송할 수 있을 것 같아서 아 내일 오시면 더 볼 수 있을 것 같아요. 좋아요? 오케이. 그래서 이쯤에 끝내겠습니다. 와 주셔서 너무 감사하고 내일도 뵙시다. Yes, so thank you everyone for joining the stream. I know it's kind of a shorter stream, but honestly, on Wednesdays, I don't think I'll be able to stream for a long period of time. Um, so unless I like get better at my sleeping schedule and I actually like get a morning routine, then I would stream early in the morning or in the afternoon. But because I wake up kind of a little bit in the afternoon, a little before that sometimes, um, I only have so much time to do things. But tomorrow I have explained in Korean that I will be streaming longer today and I will stream at a little bit earlier time. Hopefully that I will be able to wake up in time to prepare for everything so that I can start a little bit earlier. But thank you so much for joining. Thank you for coming in, stopping by, just saying hello. Um I just wanted to get the stream out to maybe help anybody who wants to learn and memorize where all the states are. Honestly, I don't really need to memorize where these states are, but I think it's kind of interesting and fun to study things sometimes. So if this helped anybody, I hope you can um tell me if you wanna if I should keep going on with these kind of content and stuff like that. But if anybody has watched this far in the VODs too, or watched the whole entire video, I hope you like the video. I won't ask you to subscribe, but if you do, then I'd be really grateful. Almost reaching 20 subscribers on YouTube. Uh, but thank you very much, and I am going to end it here. Thank you so much. 네, 그러면 이제 갑니다. 오늘 하루도 잘 지내고요. Have a good day, good morning, good evening, good afternoon, good night, wherever you are. I hope you have a good time and a great time. Thank you so much. I'm gonna say bye bye now. Bye bye. Bye bye.